you could save me from my isolation. It's way too complicated. Let's start this conversation. Let's start this conversation. We got no relation. It's crazy. Darkness fill my soul. I wish that you could save me from my isolation. It's way too complicated. Let's start this conversation. Let's start this conversation. We got no relation.
So, welcome in everyone. I don't know where Steph is. I'm calling her on Discord, but getting no answer. So we're probably gonna let's do some Mega Mosaic while we wait for her to show up. Just glancing over at Discord every now and then to see if she joins the call. Although I guess I would see at the bottom here, where my avatar is, I would see her icon if she joined the call. Oh, there's in-game music. Hang on, let me pause the my music. Hey Nico, congratulations on getting first. How's it going? How are you doing? I forgot how to play this game. In Save a Child's Life in Real Life, every time someone redeems that, we donate $5 to the Against Malaria Foundation, which provides rescue nets to children at risk of malaria. So you just save a child's life in real life. Hey Kiwi, why do you need 6k? I'm going to wait till Steph gets here and then I'll explain it. How are you doing, Kiwi? How's your day so far? Sorry, I saw some movement over on Discord. Let me lower the game volume a bit. So we wanted to check if Steph replied or something like that. Fucking try. Ooh, Steph. Ooh, tell Ale. Where is Steph? Where is she? Where did she go? How you doing today? I'm doing pretty good. Fucking Tron, how are you doing? Oh, and then Kiwi, I just missed it. Also redeem. Save a child's life. In real life. Every time someone does that, we donate $5 to the Against Malaria Foundation, which provides mosquito nets to children at risk of malaria. So you have also saved a child's life in real life. What puzzle is this? I don't believe I've seen it. This is called Mega Mosaic. It's like Minesweeper. The numbers show how many tiles in the 3x3 grid is lit. Oh, I think Steph might be here, maybe. Hello?
Hello?
How are you?
I am so tired of talking. So tired of talking. How are you?
This is I'm okay. It's like
excellent.
Podcasts are not for you if you're super tired of talking. Participating in podcasts, I mean, I guess. Like listening to a podcast is fine.
No. Even that many words. No. I can't. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna rally. I've got a drink. I've got a comfy blanket.
Get a drink and a comfy blanket.
I'm gonna rally.
And rally.
I got one. I'm doing it.
Let me share my screen. Figure says, what's the limit on SACL redemption? And Kiwi says, I think it's 1 day per person. Yeah, it's free. There's you can only do it once per stream. Like each individual person can only do it once per stream, and there's a max of 3 of them per stream. So once 3 people do it, a 4th person cannot do it. Kiwi says, hi,
What
Steph.
is this game you're playing?
What's up? And then Funkitron says, hey Steph,
Kiwi.
how are you doing today?
Hey, Funkitron.
This game is called Mega
Had a long day.
Mosaic. It's kind of like Minesweeper.
Mega Mosaic. Like Minesweeper.
The
Okay.
numbers show you how many tiles are lit in the 3x3 region around them.
Gotcha.
So here's a 4, and then there's 4 tiles already lit, so this one must be dark. But here's this, how's work, Steph? How is work
Why are some of them...
been? Hope work as well.
It looks like some of your tiles are dark blue and some are light blue and some are
Dark blue
white.
means you didn't do anything. And then you color them either blue or white, I guess.
Okay. All right. Work has been good. I do hour-long appointments, and I just got done with 6 in a row. Like I don't do a 50-minute hour. Like I do the full hour. So that's what I mean by like I'm like, oof, my voice and
She's like,
words,
oof.
all of the things. Yeah, oof.
The Bear Test says, "What are you raising 6,000 for?" Yeah, and Kiwi asked the same question.
What's the
and
answer?
I was like, I'll wait till Steph gets here before I answer. But Steph is here now, so I'm running out.
Oh my
of,
god, she's here! Yay!
Things to like waffle on about to delay the answer to the question.
All right.
I went to the orthodontist.
You went to the orthodontist.
Yeah. And he was like, the procedure is going to cost $6,000. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to do it then.
Wow, $6,000.
Yeah. It's, I went to the dentist earlier, and the dentist was like, you should go to the orthodontist because your teeth are crooked. And I'm like, okay, so I go there. And trying to think of what order everything happened in because I'm having trouble remembering. But like, they put the mirrors in my mouth, and they take pictures, and then they put it on their. They have like a Microsoft Surface, I guess, like a little laptop thingy, a tablet, but Microsoft. And then they put it on the big screen for me to look at in their office, which has like glass walls, you know, like those fancy office where like it's like cubicles, but the walls are made of glass.
Yeah.
So everybody can see my teeth.
Oh god.
Right? Because it's glass. And when he first opens it up, he's like, is this you? And then it's like some other guy's teeth. Like it's this other guy's name.
Oh my god.
I'm like, nope, that's not me. So this is
incidental
yeah,
disclosure
this is the guy
that you
remember from last time when we made me sign that
yeah, because he routinely
lets other people see.
HIPAA.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hang on, let me catch up a chat here. Welcome in, Lujo. Q says, Nebu, I would like to introduce you to a puzzle platformer type deal with my pass. It's 10% off right now, about $8. I'm probably gonna wait till it gets cheaper than $8 before I buy it. But the name of the game is With My Pass. Is that it? Like, you didn't put quote marks or anything like that, so I don't know if, like, which part of the game is the name of the game. With My Pass. Yeah, I guess this must be it. $8, 10% off, just like Kiwi said. What's this? Is this Prisoner's Dilemma? I can't tell. The closest gaze brings me the most unbearable anxiety. Yeah, that sounds like me. Little Bear says, where do I donate? Don't worry about Tess. I'm not going to get the procedure done, so I don't need the $6,000 in the end. Q says, if you want to check it out, the review is very positive. You're right. It says you're very positive. Need you redeem stretch? All right, let me stretch. Q says, I like it, but it gets pretty hard later on. Buggy to redeem. Discuss the top of your choice. Okay, we'll come back to that after I finish my orthodontistry anecdote, I guess. You just says this should be multiplayer, the mosaic thing, right? He says, but I think you should be fine because you're super good at puzzles. Thank you, Kiwi. This looks like something Flair would play. Oh, With My Pass? Oh, crap. No, the bear. The bear does. You didn't have to do that, but thank you so much. Thank you for the, what is it, 5? Yeah, 5 gift subs. To the channel. I feel guilty now, but thank you so much. Hughes is similar to Celeste. Hughes is, so that tells you something. Like, oh, this is Celeste like? That looks, Celeste is pretty difficult, so I don't know about that, but okay. But yeah, now I don't know what to say. I'm feeling a little bit awkward and guilty now, but very appreciative. Thank you so much. It looks closer to Swapper, says Lujo. Swapper is also kind of difficult, if I remember correctly. Maybe lower the volume on this YouTube video and then play this as our new background thingy. Did you ever finish Baba's You? I did not finish it. You just says, yeah, but Swapper is brain difficult, Celeste is arthritis difficult. That's true. Q says it's less like Celeste that you will die a lot, but it's like Celeste in the sense that puzzles get pretty darn hard. The puzzles in Celeste were rare, but they were pretty obscure. Like, I found it very difficult to figure out what you were supposed to do in Celeste to solve puzzles. You just says you mean the difficulty curve in isolation. Of what? Of Swapper? Or Celeste? I'm a little bit lost now. But yeah, so the guy is showing on this big screen TV, like, you know, and he's like, you're gonna, he's like, your lower teeth are all crowded. So there's only two solutions, either to expand them out or shave them down. So what do you think is the right thing to do? And I'm like, expand them out? And he's like, no, shave them down is the right answer, apparently. So, like, why did you ask me?
I don't know. How did you find this guy?
He happened to live closest to me.
Oh my god.
What country is this? Like,
does he live in an alley?
In the YouTube video? It's in the bottom right corner. If you're asking about where my orthodontist is, it's in America. Tess says, I just got my braces off a couple weeks ago. Oh, nice. Congratulations. I hope you got the results you wanted. He showed there's like, they can do 3D modeling, like they scan your mouth and then they make a 3D model of your teeth, and then he does like a simulation of what the shaving would be like, and then to see how your teeth will fit together, and like robot bends a wire to make the brace and things like that, like all very fancy stuff. And he's like, do you have any questions at the end? And I'm like, you said shaving off the teeth, like, it's because I don't have great dental hygiene, like I don't brush and floss as much as I should, so I'm worried, like if you remove some layer of the teeth, like what do I have increased risk of cavities or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And he says no, basically. And I said, like, to what, how much of this process is or procedure is what's the word, cosmetic versus dental health? And like, as soon as I say that, it's like all the enthusiasm and energy pours out of him, like he's deflated, because I think he knows he's not going to get the sale when I ask a question like that.
Right.
So he says, like, there is some dental health benefit, and like the longer I wait, the more the teeth are going to crowd over time, which makes the procedure more difficult, but it's not like your teeth are going to fall out or anything like that. So then he turns me to, I don't know if it's like, I guess his assistant. I was gonna say his secretary, but she has medical knowledge, I guess. So I guess it's more like his assistant. I don't know. They didn't give me their job titles or anything like that. But so then she's the one who like goes through the paperwork and says, like, you know, it's gonna cost. $8,000 before insurance. The insurance only paid $2,000, so I have to pay $6,000. And I'm like, and then, and then she says, and there's payment plans and all this. Like, she talks for a long time about this, and then she says, do I have any questions? And I'm like, it sounded like he said there were other options, like, because he said, like, oh, we should do this, but like, and there's this other thing that probably won't work that well and whatever. And then she says, oh yeah, the other option is this thing, which is gonna be $5,000 or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, that's still too much for me. What the heck? So I told her, this is a lot more expensive than I expected. Can you, she's like, what's the next step? When you want to schedule your next appointment? And I'm like, yeah, this is more expensive. This is more expensive than I expected. Can you email me the quotes? And then I'll think about it. And she's like, sure. And so I go home, and it's been like a couple of days now, and they haven't emailed me. So I think they know it's not going to happen. Because they have my email, because they sent me like appointment reminders and everything like that.
Yeah.
Luigi says, generally, why do people not floss? For me, it's because I have an extreme fear of pulling my teeth during it. I would presume it's laziness. It's like, why do people not exercise more? Why do people not, what do people who smoke don't quit smoking? Just like there's a certain habit of way of living that you have, and it takes effort to change it. That's what I think. What do you think, Steph?
How do you think I'm feeling about this discussion?
You love it. So Funky Trevor Dean, discuss the top of your choice. What do you know about the Bobo doll experiment was looking into earlier? Please enlighten me more. I don't know anything about the Bobo doll experiment. What would you say?
The Bobo doll experiment was Albert Bandura, and it was so people were trying to figure out how humans, and by humans really children, learn, and we'd figured out a couple of ways that they learn, but the behaviorists were suggesting it was all they do something and they get rewarded or punished or neutral, and that teaches them whether or not to do it again. So it was all stimulus response, basically.
If you're behavioralist, wouldn't you conclude that learning is impossible? Because learning is like an internal state, isn't it?
So learning is measured by whether or not the behavior increases or decreases. Behaviorists don't think that nothing happens on the inside. They think we can't measure what happens on the inside. So we need behavior on the outside to look at. So you can't measure learning by saying to someone, hey, do you think you learned? And they go, sure. And that,
self-reported learning.
We don't look at that.
100%.
Exactly. Right.
That's
so
where
we
American
actually
education is going these days.
Yeah, it absolutely is. So behaviorists believe that you need to actually measure behavior to see if the person has learned. And if the behavior changes, they have learned, even if they say they haven't. And if the behavior doesn't change, then they haven't learned, even if they say they have.
Okay.
Anyway,
the
Bobo doll.
Let's move
Yeah.
on.
Okay. So the Bobo doll experiments were looking at whether or not children could learn something in the average of direct instruction or trial and error that wasn't immediately reinforced or punished. And what happened with the Bobo doll experiment is they were these dolls. They're not really dolls. They're actually like they're plastic blow-up type creatures, and they're round on the bottom.
Doll.
Yeah.
I don't think of children's toys.
Yeah. Right. It's a blow-up doll, but it doesn't have like legs. It just kind of has a bottom. It has two arms, and it doesn't really have legs. The bottom is rounded, and the bottom actually has a weight in it. So when you hit it,
I didn't know what.
It falls over and then pops back up.
Googled up the picture. This clown thing.
Yes, that clown thing. That is a Bobo doll. So when you
Yeah.
hit it, it will pop back up. And what Albert Bandura did is he showed some children a video of someone else hitting this doll and it popping back up. And it showed a specific way that they hit the doll and that sort of thing. And there was no real reward or punishment. The person kind of looked like they were enjoying themselves, but not particularly. And the kids who watched the video learned to hit the Bobo doll in that particular way even. And the kids who didn't watch the video did not really hit the Bobo doll. They might engage with the doll in a different way, or they might, if they knocked it down, maybe they would do it with their feet or both hands, or they didn't hit it in the same way. And so what we found from this is that children can learn socially. So it's called social learning. You watch someone else do something, and either based on the rewards that they seem to be getting, or that you're inferring that they might get, like sometimes you assume that if someone does something repeatedly that they must be enjoying it in some way, and so they're getting some sort of internal reward, or there's some reward you can't see. So even though the children themselves were not rewarded or punished or told to do this, just by watching a video of someone else, they would learn to do the action. Learning as measured by, they would do the action.
There was one of the pictures is the kid has a gun pointed at the Bobo doll here.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's plausible. Maybe I don't remember the exact. Maybe that's how they.
Well, no,
Well,
there's
I know that
where they just punch him, but like
or they're just punching it. Yeah, I
clicked on
think
the
it's just
one
punching. Yeah.
example where
Right.
I saw there's a gun. I'm like, what the heck? So here,
Yeah.
like, this one
I
is
think they're
probably
just
punching.
punching it. Exactly. And there were other toys in the room and stuff like that, so they didn't have to punch it in that exact way, even if they wanted to interact with the.
Yeah, like they could have
yeah.
pointed a gun at it, for example. That's one of the
They
options.
could have, yeah. Yeah.
So that's it. That's the end of the experiment. We've concluded
Yep.
that children are able to learn.
Yep.
Good job, behavioralists.
That they're able to socially learn. And so Bandura is not a behaviorist. He is a social learning theorist. He was. He's dead now. These experiments were a
He
billion years
still
ago.
is, just not very
Right.
active in
Right.
the research
Not as
community
active.
anymore.
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't like. It's one of those things where, like, whenever you read a psychology paper, the result, you're like, that is extremely self-evident. Why did anyone even bother performing the study? But
Right.
sometimes they're
But
not
that is
self-evident, I guess.
That's the hindsight bias, right?
Yeah.
It seems evident to us now because this was discovered in the 60s, and it's part of our understanding of the world now.
Right.
But it might not have been then. I don't know, because as old as I am, even I was not alive in the 60s.
I wonder if it's you talked about reward. I wonder if it's just like a novelty, like when you see someone doing something in a weird, like doing something weird but harmless to them, like not doing work or exertful, like it just seems like you're just doing something that you've never seen anyone do before. You go and you try doing it yourself to see what it's like.
You might, but that is a uniquely human form of learning. Some primates
chimpanzee, yeah, I was
will
about to say
do
maybe.
that a little bit. So it's a uniquely primate form of learning. Like I try and show my dog all the time how to use her paw to hold down something that she is trying to, like a plate that she's trying to lick that keeps getting away from her.
Yeah.
And no matter how many times I demonstrate it to her, she hasn't quite grasped the concept of how to use her paw to hold something in place.
I saw, I think, videos of it looks like dogs trying, like via a tier of mind, trying to do social teaching to other dogs, like walking upstairs or things like that. Like when one dog struggles to walk upstairs, the other one will walk up next to it to like quote unquote demonstrate how to do it.
Yeah, and we think we've seen like bears teaching their young how to cross the road, kind of.
Okay.
But it's actually quite a difficult process. And it doesn't seem to happen it seems to happen in very specialized cases, and we're not exactly sure what's happening. I don't follow animal cognition super well, so I know what you're talking about, but I don't know if we've changed our mind and said that other animals are doing this kind of social transmission of knowledge
Right.
definitively or not. Like who do, like we know that dolphins, for example, will imitate other dolphins because they were all getting high off those sponges.
Okay.
And there was briefly a group of killer whales. One killer whale started wearing a dead salmon on its head,
As
and it started a yes,
fashion
and it
craze.
started a fashion fad. Yeah, and all the
hip whales.
all the hip whales in that troop literally started wearing a dead salmon on their head as a fashion statement. So some of this is happening, but we don't know how transferable it is. And we know that humans learn a crap ton of what they do. Like all of our culture, everything you do that about gender, for example, all of your gender behavior almost is learned. And you learn it not through direct instruction in most cases, but through imitation, through social learning. Almost all of our culture, what to wear, fashion, how to speak in different settings. Just tons and tons and tons of what we do is socially transmitted.
There's a thing, like, I would not normally classify as learning, but like it might be a conformity thing. Like when you have like a bunch of people sitting in a room waiting for the study to start, but actually, you know, this is secretly this is the study. And then like everyone else in the room stands up from their seat, then the test subject will be okay and then starts standing up from his seat, right? Like,
yep. Or like if smoke starts pouring into the waiting room and nobody else gets up and looks around, the person will be like, okay, I guess we're just in a room on fire. All right.
But like it's becoming a spectrum almost. Like how much is this learning, or is this conformity, or is this embarrassment, you know, like not wanting to
right. And we do this in ways that are clearly learning. For example, children, when they fall, the first thing they do is look at their parents to see if it was like a dangerous fall or not. Right? Which is...
That's why, as a parent, you should freak out when your kid falls.
Freak out. It's always dangerous.
A long time ago, you gave me this test, Steph. 1895 examination.
I gave you a test in 1895?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know we were around then.
Yep. We've been around for longer than you expected.
Okay.
So let's see how well I do on it.
Okay, great. What is it?
So grammar, give 9 rules for the use of capital letters.
Okay, great.
Because you said back in the days tests were really tough.
Oh, that's probably true. I probably did say that.
Proper nouns, beginning of sentences, and that's it. Those are the only 2 rules I can think of.
2 rules.
Maybe, okay, if I stretch, like abbreviation, capital initialisms, I guess they're called.
You get an hour for this, so...
Let's move on to the next question. Name the parts of speech and define those that have no modifications. I don't know what that no modifications means, but parts of speech, isn't that like there's noun, adjective, adverb, verb, article is maybe one of them, determinant. Is there anything else? I don't know what no modifications means. I guess you could say like nouns modify because of pluralization and verbs conjugate, but particles don't.
Right. Particles don't. Like interjections don't. Like when you say the word yes. Define
verse, stanza, and paragraph. the heck?
Yeah. Maybe we should move on to the arithmetic.
Well, I don't want to get 0 on the verbal part. Gosh, a paragraph is like a bunch of words. But like a stanza is a bunch of words, but like where the line endings matter, I guess. A stanza is a paragraph where the line endings matter. What are principal parts of a verb? Give principal parts of do, lie, lay, and run. Yeah, I have no idea what they're asking.
I think they're looking for the
principal part of do is do. Everything else is secondary. Define case.
I think they're
okay,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
I was thinking of like they're looking for the past particles and the present particles and the future.
Like was, did.
But... yes, like that's exactly what I think they're looking for.
Define case. I mean, I feel like they don't mean uppercase, lowercase. I think they mean something else, but I don't know what they might mean.
I think they mean like verb cases, but or subject. Yeah, I don't know either.
6. What is punctuation? Give rules for principal marks of punctuation. What is a punctuation? That's such a really good. Like it's it's like when you ask me what an apple is.
Ah.
Punctuation are they orthographical? Not even sure about that. Graph symbols that
They're not orthographic, but that's
communicate pacing and pauses. Maybe I'll leave it at that.
That's pretty close, yes.
7 to 10. These are like 4 questions combined in one. Write a composition about 150 words and show therein that you understand the practical use of the rules of grammar.
Wow, that is meta.
The primary practical use of grammar. Let me think. What is a use of grammar? Is a redundancy system. For example, when a subject and verb need to agree, so that in lossy communication, such as talking in a noisy room, the listener has a higher chance of understanding this sentence even if they miss some parts of it. That's my attempt. What do you think, Steph?
Primary practical use of grammar is a redundancy system. For example, when a subject and verb need to agree, so that in lossy communication, such as talking in a noisy room, the listener has a higher chance of understanding the sentence, even if they miss some parts of it. What? No.
You're confused? You don't like this answer?
Well, obviously it's not, there shouldn't be a comma before, for example, so you've already not been meta enough. And lossy communication is a weird phrase. And so even if it is a standard phrase, it should be in quotes. And why would I don't actually think that grammar rules are necessarily a redundancy system, but it's one reason, so I suppose I'll grant you that.
Okay, so basically,
but also,
I got an A
It's
rather
just
than
one
A plus,
sentence.
right? Is what you're saying
Not a good composition.
for this whole
A minus.
section.
A minus.
A minus plus, right? Like the higher end of A minus.
Nope.
Okay, arithmetic. 1. Name and define the fundamental rules of arithmetic. What?
I really like the second question.
What are the fundamental rule of arithmetic?
Fundamental rules.
That any natural number can be uniquely factorized into its prime components. Maybe, I don't know if that's what they're referring to. A wagon box is 2 feet deep, 10 feet long, and 3 feet wide. How many bushels of wheat will it hold?
Yeah. How many?
2060. It will hold 20 feet of bushels per feet.
Bushels per feet is not a thing.
Per feet, you're right, per feet cubed.
Perfect. You said 20, but wrote 30, but wrote 60, so
It's
whichever.
Well, it's 60, right? 2 times 10 is 20, times
Yeah.
3 is 60. If a load of wheat weighs this, what is it worth at 50 cents per that? Deducting this much for tear,
Air,
tear.
and that's per bushel, obviously.
Well, it's clearly 3942 minus and 50. Hey, Only Bang, how's it going? We're doing tests from the 1800s. And I guess 50 cents is what...
Times 50, yeah, I guess.
Actually, it's times, I guess. Yeah, you sort of gave it away there.
Sorry.
Well, no, it's times 50 of... Because, like, you're going to get pounds over here, but then they want per bushel.
Right. So divided by bushels per foot
pound.
cubed.
It's weird because here, like the previous question implies that bushels is a measure of volume, but this one implies it's a measure of weight. That's why I like the metric system. 4. District number 33 has a valuation of this much. What is necessary? What is the necessary levy to carry on a school 7 months at this much per month and have this much for incidental? I feel like I don't understand the question because it sounds super easy and I'm not using part of the information. That's usually a clue that you're not understanding the question properly. Because it's like 7 months times $50 per month, so that's $350 for that period, and then have 104 for incidental, so I add 104. Oops, and then you have $454, right? And then like, what does the valuation have to do with any of this?
I assume that when we're doing necessary levies to carry, that it's somehow something exponential. I'm not sure. That like you do $50 for the first month, but then or it's like a percentage. I don't know.
I would fail the test. My gender is F, which means fail. Well, there was a grammar, like a verbal part. The stereotype is women are better at verbal stuff and men are better at math stuff, right? So maybe you would do better on that part. Find cost of this coal at this per ton. So that is clearly...
That doesn't seem as hard.
Yeah, that's easy. That's 620 divided by tons per pound times 6, right?
I think so. So like $20.16.
Probably. Find the
Okay.
interest of this for 8 months and 18 days. Who does interest at days? Come on, at 7%. But yeah, I actually legitimately don't know how to do this. What I'm assuming you're saying is that it's 7% per year, right? And so you have to see like this is what would the I guess the interest rate per day be so that you end up at 7% per year.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I don't know how to do that calculation. I assume it has something to do with the constant e, the exponential function. What is the cost of 40 boards 12 inches wide and 12 feet long at $20 per meter? I mean, they're half on their way to having a reasonable system at this point.
But is the meters only is the 12 inches wide a
I feel like that might be irrelevant, right? Like you would when you buy planks, so you buy them by their like long length.
right? So why 12 inches wide? Is that just
Maybe
a
to
red herring?
Yeah,
Or
to confuse you.
interesting. Okay.
Find bank discount on $300 for 90 days, no grace at 10%. I don't know what these words mean.
Yeah. Just find it. I was driving somewhere
Okay.
recently, and it was telling me how far away. There were signs on the road telling me how far away where I was going was,
Mhm.
and then the very last sign, where I wasn't very far away, it said 12 furlongs.
That's not very many furlongs.
It's like, oh, furlongs.
I could count that many furlongs on my hands almost.
Almost.
What is the cost of a square farm at $15 per acre? The distance around is 640 rods. Of course it's going to be different units. Like it's already tricky if they said 640. You know, if this were meter and this were meter squared or something like that, or like it's already tricky. But
I do not know the number of square acres per rod.
write the bank check, a promissory note, and a receipt. So the test administrator is literally just straight out asking for a bribe at this point, right?
100%. They're like, you are not going to pass, so you might as well
Just write me a
show
check.
us if you can bribe us. Yeah, exactly. You can do that part. You're going to do well on the rest of the test.
History. Okay, this is going to go well.
All right, awesome.
Given that my strong point was math, and
Yeah.
this is the result.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see how history goes. Give the epochs into which U.S. history is divided.
Perfect. Get us started.
Yeah, so this is easy.
1,
In
2.
January 1980, on January 1st, 1980, 12 a.m. UTC, the Linux epoch started. So there is pre-Linux and post-Linux. Done.
Do you think that this test, written in 1896,
Yeah.
probably it was asking about future?
Well, they were in the pre-Linux
Any
epoch,
women?
right?
Right.
So,
And that's when they asked the best questions?
yeah.
Okay. All right, cool.
Give an account of the discovery of America by Columbus. He probably sailed west, question mark, and then found it. Done. 3. Relate the causes and results of the Revolutionary War.
Causes. Revolving.
One
Result.
guy got angry
Revolution.
at another guy. There was a war. Show the territorial growth of the United States. There we go. Tell what you can of the history of Kansas.
Yep.
There was a tornado that brought a house to Oz.
This is inaccurate.
What? I'm pretty
This is
sure
not the history of Kansas.
I saw a documentary on this. Describe 3 of the most prominent battles of the rebellion. Probably one involving Indians. Another involving France. Maybe Britain. Who were the following? Morse, Whitney, Fulton, Bell, Lincoln, Penn, and Howe?
How?
Howe?
Yeah.
Like a boy band at the time.
Can you name... Can you give the first names of any of these people? You can have some of them.
Graham Bell?
Alexander Graham, yeah.
Oh, Alexander. Abe Lincoln.
Nice.
Michael Penn? I don't know.
No. William.
William? Who's that?
The founder of Pennsylvania. He was a Quaker.
James Morse, maybe?
Samuel.
Samuel, gosh dang it. Okay, that's it. I give up.
Alright.
Name events connected with the following dates. Oh, God. Yeah, I'm just gonna skip that one. I'm gonna give up. Let me write a check.
Alright. A receipt.
Orthography. This is my strongest subject.
Excellent.
What is meant by the following? Alphabet, phonetic, orthography, etymology, syllabication.
Syllabification.
There's no F there.
Oh. There should be. We say it with an F now. Maybe we didn't used to. Syllabication. Okay.
I can confirm this sentence. There's no spelling errors. What are elementary sounds? How classified? I'm just gonna put down the word labial in here.
It's inaccurate. Good. All right.
What are the following? And give examples of each. Trigraph, subvocals, diphthong, cognate letters, linguals. Here's a trigraph, etc.
I tried to graph this.
Give 4 substitutes for what? Carrot aria? Okay. 5. Give 2 rules for spelling words with a final Name 2 exceptions under each rule.
So when they put the 2 A's around the vowel, we now write it with the umlaut above the vowel. So it's asking for 2 rules for spelling words with a final schwa. And the first one is asking for 4 substitutes for the sound Q.
Q?
Ew.
You.
Q? Ew. Q? What? Yeah, like how could that be spelled in English?
Like
Is
this.
what it's asking. Yep.
And that's it. There's no other way of spelling it in English.
That's it. Good. Perfect.
Two rules for spelling. Schwa is This gives 2 rules for spelling words with a final
No, schwa is the best example I can think of schwa is the sound that's the last sound in the word sofa. Is a schwa.
So there's Yeah, I can't think of it like I don't know. Give 2 uses of silent letters and spelling. Illustrate each. Topolomy?
Oh, the philosopher?
Yeah.
Okay.
And for sure.
That's definitely not correct. But here, I think they actually mean like why words might have silent letters, like to maintain the Latin root of something, or because you're indicating how to pronounce a modified verb form. And then they wanted you to give like some answers, like keeping the M in mnemonic keeps it near its Greek root.
Define the following prefixes and use in connection with a word by, dis, miss, pre, semi, post, non, inter, mono, super. I feel like I can do this one.
Awesome.
Define and use in connection with a word. Bipedal. 2. Disappropriate. Undo. Misrepresent. Do wrongly. Prenatal. Before. Semi-hemisphere. Half. Postpartum. After.
Did you say semi-hemisphere?
Yeah.
Like a half hemisphere?
Yeah.
Half sphere?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, great.
Non-interventionalist. Not. Where are the interventionalist? Inside of. monoglutamate. 1 superhero more than. Easy. Aced it.
I think, except for semi-hemisphere, I'm
never
on
heard of
board
semi-hemisphere?
that you did well. I have not. But I feel like it's weird to illustrate
Literally, there's a
what,
Wikipedia, oh, not Wikipedia, Wiki dictionary on it.
Great.
See?
What a fantastic article. I think it's weird to use as an example a word with a different prefix that means the same thing, but that's fine.
There's a word hemisphere, and I'm adding a prefix to it, which is semi.
You are, yeah.
And therefore showing
So
the use of the semi prefix
fine.
added to a word.
If you write me a check, I will absolutely count it. Yep.
Mark diacritically and divide
job.
into syllables the following and name the sign that indicates the sound. Okay. Card, 1 syllable, done. Ball, 1 syllable, done.
Mark it with your diacritical.
Mercy. There's my diacritical marking.
It's
Sir,
usually just
1
a single
syllable,
quote.
done.
A single, like an apostrophe, kind of.
There you go.
Excellent.
Odd, 1 syllable, done. Cell, 1 syllable, done. Rise, 1 syllable, done. Blood, 1 syllable, done. Bear, 1 syllable, done. Last, 1 syllable, done. Easiest question on the test.
I wonder if you're supposed to. Yeah, I don't understand what that means because one of those is a 2-syllable word, so I'm not sure what we're doing here. But okay.
And then find them into syllables.
Yeah, but that can't be.
Remember, maybe you don't remember. We played a puzzle game together. Like it was 1,000 doors or whatever, and then it's like,
Okay.
count how many 90-degree angles there are in this diagram,
Yeah.
and there were none.
Yeah.
So the combination
Okay.
to the door was 0, 0, 0, 0.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
Nope.
Well,
But I believe you. I have like a very vague memory of this.
yeah. So that's what this is.
Sounds
right?
irritating. You think that's what this is? All right. Great.
Yeah. Use the following correctly in this sentence. Sight, sight, sight. Feign, feign, feign. Vain, vain, vain. Raise, raise, raise.
And it has to all be one sentence.
I cited the site on site. I actually don't know what some of these feigns mean. I know this feign. Feigning to... I think my veins in vein over the vein. Which... raised, raise... raising... feign, feign, whatever. I don't know what those last 2 words mean, but there we go.
One of them, like, feign with an I means like I would like to, I would be pleased to.
Okay.
And I think, so there are old poems that say like, oh, I fain would lie down. I'd like to lie down. I would be pleased to lie down. And I think the other feign means like a temple, like an old word for like a temple or a shrine or something like that.
Okay.
But I'm not positive on that one. I'm positive on the other one.
Write 10 words
Because I always try and make it when I'm doing what's the game called? Spelling bee. I always try and spell feign like that, and they're always like, yeah, we don't know that word. And then I get irritated.
Right. That's like when reindeers aren't animals.
Yeah.
Write 10 words frequently mispronounced and indicate pronunciation by use of diacritical marks and by syllabication.
Yeah, see, something about the
So-
diacritical marks. They must mean like
Celebration.
umlauts or
Is frequently mispronounced.
right.
Semi-hemisphere is frequently mispronounced.
No one mispronounces that. You know what word drives me crazy? That the way that it's supposed to be pronounced.
What?
Redolent.
Redolent. That's
I think it's with
when
an
you
E.
regret
Redolent.
something.
You regret something you read on Reddit. It
Yeah.
means to be like heavy with, like it
Yeah,
was
see? That's exactly what I
redolent
said.
of the fragrance of something.
Oh, maybe that's all I said.
But like it's clearly
redolent.
it's clearly supposed to be pronounced redolent, right?
Yeah.
But apparently it's actually pronounced redolent, which I just think is ridiculous. I'm irritated by that.
Geography.
There's no way I'm counting semi-hemisphere twice.
What is climate?
Just FYI.
What does climate?
Okay,
Let's
geography.
put climate to this one list here. Depend.
I've never heard anyone else say Clement. That's fantastic.
Long term, usually more than a year.
Weather.
Tendencies in meteorological properties, e.g., temperature, rainfall, etc. How do you account for the extremes of climate in Kansas? These people really like Kansas for
This
some
thing's
reason.
Kansas obsessed. Yeah.
Flying monkeys.
Inaccurate.
Of what use are rivers? Of what use is the ocean?
Yeah.
Useless.
What use are they?
Photography backdrop.
Yep.
Describe the mountains of NA. Not applicable.
Do you know any mountains in NA?
Rushmore. Grand Canyon.
Fantastic. Why would a canyon be a mountain?
It's like you have to climb to get to the top of
Oh my
it.
I'm totally imagining the people who made this test getting the part where you write not apple. Rushmore. Grand Canyon? Question mark.
A canyon is a mountain from the other person's perspective, isn't it? Like if you're at the bottom, it's a mountain. If you're at the top, it's not.
It's. Oh my gosh. Perfect. Perfect. Good. Good.
Name and describe the following.
Question. I'm not okay yet. I'll be alright in a minute. Okay. Okay, I'm ready.
5. Here are their names.
Alright.
Monrovia,
Great.
Odessa, Denver, Manitoba, Hecla, Yukon, St. Helena, Juan Fernandez, Aspinwall, and Orinoco. There we go. I got at least half the points.
Nope. Oh. Do you know what any of those are?
Manitoba's a province. So is, well, Yukon's a territory, I guess.
Excellent. Good.
Denver is associated with the word Colorado, such that if I were an LLM, that's what I would predict the next word is.
Excellent.
Name
Good.
and locate the principal trade centers of the U.S. Target, Walmart, Amazon. Name all.
Costco,
Costco, that's a good one, yeah.
Grand Canyon.
Name all the republics of Europe and give capital of each.
Good. Do it.
I only know 2 republics, and I don't think either of them are in Europe. There's like
The ones from
Republic of Congo, right?
1896.
And Republic of China?
Yeah, the Democratic Republic thereof.
Why is the Atlantic coast colder than Pacific in the same latitude? How is this a geography question?
That has to do with climate. It's
Why?
biogeography.
Why is the Atlantic coast colder than the Pacific in the same latitude? Yeah, I don't know. Describe the process by
Pacific
which...
currents.
Well, this is in
Like
the past,
El Nino
though.
and stuff. Yeah, they existed then too.
Well, it wouldn't be called currents back then. Well, I guess from them it would be current.
Oh. No, it's currents like the fruit.
Describe the process by which the water of the ocean returns to the sources of the river.
Please describe the water cycle.
Yeah, isn't that just like evaporation? And then rainfall, I guess.
Evaporation? Alright, cool.
Describe the movements of the earth. Give inclination of the earth. It rotates
Inclination, I love it.
around its own axis and also around the sun. How long is this freaking test?
And it's
Physiology.
inclined to...
I'm just gonna make a wild guess. 13 degrees. Physiology. I don't know what... Isn't that like gym? What is this? Well, oh, it's
Yes, it's
biology.
PE.
What are the saliva, gastric juices, and bowel secreted? Oh, where? What is the use of each in digestion? So saliva is mouth. Gastric is stomach. And bowel is maybe your liver? I don't know.
Yeah, liver and gallbladder.
And what is the use of each? I just thought all of them dissolve to some degree or another.
But what do they dissolve? What does each one dissolve?
Dissolvation. Dissolvation
Yep,
of food.
one of those frequently mispronounced words.
How does nutrition reach the circulation? Blood arteries. What is the function of the liver? Of the kidneys? No one knows. How would you stop the flow of blood from an artery in case of laceration? Apply pressure. Give some general direction that you think would be beneficial to preserve the human body in a state of health. 2012. Okay, how'd I do? Or let me put it another way. How much do I have to make the check out to? $6,000?
How much do you have? Yeah, that's why we're trying to raise that amount. What age of students were supposed to be able to pass this test? Eighth grade graduation test.
So 13 years old?
Yep. But you could take it in 7th grade and then retake it if you failed it.
Yeah. There's a couple of things here. One is that it is very common, I think, like even today, that you could answer a question on a test at 13 and then no longer be able to answer it in adulthood because you just never use information you forget. Whereas like you just learned this last week in class.
Oh, you feel like you knew all of this information earlier, is what you're claiming.
I'm saying there's a couple of issues here.
You used to know all these
I'm
answers.
saying there's a couple of issues.
Alright. Alright, great.
I probably at some point saw the list of mountains in North America, right? Like, I was exposed to that information
I
at
mean,
least once.
yeah, because you were able to give some really close answers. Yeah. Can you name like any
about
of them?
Rockies? Isn't
Like
that
some of
another
them
one?
extend into Canada. Yes, yes, good job. Excellent.
What was the other? I can't remember. I said there's several issues, and now I got distracted. So I'm having. Oh, some of them is like, it's that common criticism of IQ tests, right? It's cultural knowledge, like how much acres is a bushel
This is
or
not
whatever.
an IQ test.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's the same criticism, even if it's a different
This is an
object.
achievement test.
Okay. But it's the same, like, you know, just like I can say, this food is too spicy and that food is too spicy, even if they're not the same food. I can say, like, this test relies on cultural knowledge, like how many feet are in the bushel or whatever.
But achievement tests always rely on cultural knowledge. They're checking how much knowledge you've acquired.
From your culture.
So that's not a legitimate criticism. That's like saying, like it relies on knowing things about geography.
No, it relies on knowing things about, like, how many
Yes.
feet are in the bushel.
It does. That's not actually a criticism.
It's a criticism in the sense that I'm
Right,
criticizing it for
and
that.
presumably
Like, tautologically.
they covered that in math class. The same way that you can't criticize it for that tautologically. Like, when you took tests on maths in school, it would have included information about the metric system, for example, because you took it in some weird metric country.
Therefore, all IQ
You
tests
learned
are
those
flawed.
things in math class.
And what we really
You didn't
should
learn
care
them in
about
like poetry class.
is emotional quotient, right? That's the conclusion.
But there
here.
should have been a logic section of this test.
Speaking of which, now
For
we're,
you
like, we're just jumping all over the place
also
topic-wise,
fail.
I feel like. Raven matrices. I don't, like,
There's a lot of conclusions here, but that's
are we supposed
Not-
to, like, or is this test security and you can't answer? But
sure. Sure.
here's an example. So I see this, right? And it's like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 1,
Oh,
2,
there you
3, 1, 2, 3. But then I see somewhere it's like they're all what, and then I'm like, okay, so maybe I have to do like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or, you know, like I don't know, like how many variations of patterns there can be that, like, you know, is there some correlations that I can just discard because those are out of the rule set, I guess. You know what I
So
mean?
it cut out while you were saying some of that, so I don't
Okay.
You might have to say some of it again.
So I'm looking at this test, this example here,
Yes.
and I can immediately see that there's like 3 sequences.
Yes.
There's this sequence 1, 2, 3. Then there's this sequence 1, 2, 3, and then there's this sequence 1, 2, and then I need to fill in the number 3 here. But
Correct.
some of them, I don't know if this can have a more difficult example. No, it doesn't look like it. Some of them I don't see, like this horizontal line doesn't look like a sequence, but this vertical line might be a sequence.
I think because of the curse of knowledge, I don't have the ability to not see it as a sequence anymore. So I'm not sure I can help. You can't predict what the missing one is going to be.
In this case, I can. I'm saying...
In this case, you can.
Yeah, so this question, the way I'm modeling it in my mind is that there's a rotation going on, like a 90-degree rotation. There's this shape, and then gets rotated 90 degrees to this shape, and gets rotated 90 degrees to this shape. And then a new sequence is starting that's completely unrelated to this previous sequence. That says there's this shape, gets rotated 90 degrees, this shape, rotated 90 degrees, this shape. Then a new sequence completely unrelated to the previous two is that there's this shape rotated to this shape, and then I have to figure out what happens next. So I say, okay, so it's just I take the shape, I rotate it, and that's what I'm going to put in the square here. And I'm confident that that's the right answer because I think this is a relatively easy one.
Correct.
But in more difficult ones, I'm not sure that horizontal sequences is the right thing to do. Like I might say, okay, so what this is saying is you start with a square, like I'm looking at vertical sequences maybe. I'm hypothesizing maybe it's a vertical sequence. I'm hypothesizing it's the rule is you start with a square, then you become a circle, and then you become a diamond. So then I'm like, okay, so is it alternating between 4-sided shapes and 1-sided shapes, and then there's maybe a rotation going on later on or at some point, or especially if like, and then let's say this one was a triangle at this point, you know, and then, or maybe let's say this was a pentagon and this was a line. So I say, okay, so 4 sides, 1 side, and then here it's 5 sides, 2 sides.
Look, okay, Mr. I don't know what an apple is. So it's never that complicated, and I don't give the exact ravens, but on a very similar test that I give, you can tell the person that you can solve it that you should be able to solve it either vertically or horizontally.
Okay.
It's giving you
that's what
information that might be redundant to increase your ability to find the answer.
That was basically my question. I was saying
there are more complex. Okay, great.
Because you're saying you can always solve it using only horizontal patterns or vertical patterns. Like it's always either a horizontal sequence or a vertical sequence.
Yes. Like, so you can use either one here, right? Like you can see that it's either square, circle,
diamond,
diamond with the, most eastward facing, and up if they have it, west, option highlighted. And then, square, circle, diamond, same thing, square, circle, diamond, right? Or you can go square, turn 90, turn 90, turn 90, circle, turn 90, turn 90, turn 90, right?
Yeah.
Like there's redundant information in all of them to increase the likelihood that you'll be able to solve it. Some of the sequences are still pretty hard to find, even with the redundant information, but the early items are not particularly challenging.
Yeah, but what I mean is like sometimes when I see some of them, I don't see any.
The reason also that there's redundant information. Right.
Yes.
That's
maybe there's an
correct.
delay
Some of them
us.
are quite hard, and it's not very obvious. There might be.
Okay, so one of the because sometimes when I look at these, they seem like I don't see any obvious pattern, and then I wonder, like, do I ever have to go from, like, let's say, the square all the way on the right into the circle all the way to the left, and I say, okay, so how does that transition happen? Like, what is the pattern that tells you that you go from square with bottom right to circle with top left, and then so that I can figure out, like a more complicated rule. But you're saying it's never like that. It's always look at the columns or look at the rows, or both.
I believe in progressive matrices, in Raven's progressive matrices, that's correct. There's only about 30 items, but in some tests, there are only 6. There's only 5 examples, and you have to pick the 6th one. And in that, they may just be laid out horizontally, or they may be laid out in 2 rows. And sometimes, like, often color is used, or shading, to make it even more complicated. There can be things in multiple, there can be things in multiple quadrants of the design. You may have to look at multiple pieces of the design. Some of the tasks are just straight up matching. Some of them use quite complicated, there's rotation, but like some of the really complicated ones use like subtraction, which is hard for many people to think of. So they do become quite complicated. But you should be able to solve it
Actually, this is
as
a good
3 rows.
example I think of something where I'm confused about. So I'm looking at this one, and I see, okay, so you start with 1 square, and then this one is moving to the left, but it's also like growing in the sense where, like, maybe there was it's a diagonal line that's half off screen and it's scrolling so that you gradually see more of the line. And then this thing, you have 1 square, and then like it goes 1 square, 2 square, 3 square, and it's scrolling to the right, and then it's revealing here. But now you have 2, 3. So that's it. So then this has to be 1 square? Question mark. If it, if it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1. Which doesn't make as much sense to me. But then, like, okay, so then maybe I look at the horizontal, the verticals. So then it's 1 square, 1 square, 2 square, 2 square, 2 square, 3 square, and here 3 square, 3 square, 6 squares. Like it's not clear to me how fancy of a rule you can come up with before it gets so fancy that that you're doing something way beyond
Here the
what
rule. Right, you're making it much too complicated. Here the rule is just like, imagine a line scrolling like you did.
Yeah.
What would it look like right on the bottom one? There should also be a pattern that goes vertical, but I don't immediately see it. But there should be. I think there's something about you should be able to figure out that it goes 1, 1, 2, or 2, 2, 3, or 3, 3, and it's going to have some one that's different, and
well, in this case, the right answer is A, right?
Overlap. Correct.
Which doesn't. If
The
you
right
look at
answer
it
is A.
vertically, you're gonna get completely screwed over. I feel like, because there is no vertical pattern.
Yeah, there should also be a vertical pattern, but I'm not sure that I can do it off the top of my head. It might be. Yeah, there should also be something that way, but often I find it very difficult to go that way. I find it much easier to look at them horizontally.
Okay.
I think the often the vertical pattern is quite subtle, but
well, I guess like being informed that the pattern is going to be horizontally derivable is a huge clue, and I don't feel like most tests tell you that. Like, by the way, every pattern can be derived via by examining the horizontal sequences.
Correct. So with Raven's progressive matrices, actually what they would do is give you a really high number of sample items, and in some cases you could actually take the booklet home to study it.
Okay.
The goal was not to hide that piece of information. So they try to give you a lot of sample items that show you how it works. The goal was to take the language out of it, out of the instructions, so that even someone who was not able to speak English in any way could eventually, with enough practice, get the items. But practice and tips and tricks does actually enhance scores on this task. So for example, if you go online and you can see here, you can get, tips and tricks. And that's one of the reasons that Raven's progressive matrices has been criticized as not culturally fair, or as reflective of what Americans or weird countries value. Because if you go to other countries and give this test, they do not always get the idea of what you're asking. And you also can't do this with young kids, particularly, because they just don't get the idea of what you're doing, especially without explanation, but even sometimes with explanation.
Yeah, I mean,
so this is why we do not actually... Right, you do get a lot of sample items, and you haven't looked at all the sample items and really gotten all that. But you get like so many sample items, you really do establish a set in most cases. But we also really do not give Raven's progressive matrices very much anymore, specifically because of some of those criticisms. IQ tests now do use a matrix reasoning task, but they're all arranged in one line.
Hey Shakar, welcome
all the
in.
items. And then the one that I give kids from what's called the differential ability scale that does look more like Raven's, you really do tell them deliberately, like straight up, what way they can solve it.
Yeah.
And you also, like, if they get the item wrong, you do a teaching item. You say, let's look at it together. Do you see this? Right? So there is teaching.
But the thing is, like, even you say you get lots of samples, even if you get infinite samples, the thing is, I don't know how constrained the pattern rules can be, right? Like, so if like if I see a whole bunch of samples where you can derive the rule by looking at horizontal patterns, and then we say, okay, now let's do the real test, and then I see questions and I can see that they're getting harder and harder. It's also plausible that the pattern gets harder. Like, it's no longer just looking at horizontal patterns. It might be vertical patterns.
Yeah,
it might be diagonal patterns.
It is plausible. It is plausible. That's part of why the answers are multiple choice, so that you can test for yourself. You can kind of try out hypotheses. Raven's matrices is untimed. You can be over there doing whatever you want to try and figure out if your theory is plausible, and people will come up with a whole lot of them. And part of the reason it's multiple choice, instead of you having to like draw your answer, is so that you can then test that. Does it get more complicated? Does it start including, infinite patterns? What if I did it this way, right? So you get sample items and constrained answers to give you like just a wide variety of sources of information about how to solve these tasks.
Tucker says, "How do I help you raise $6,000?" It's you don't have to, and in fact, don't. It's the title.
You decided not to spend the money.
Yeah, the title. I went to an orthodontist, and they said there was going to be a procedure that's going to cost $6,000, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do the procedure then. So I decided, I'm not going to have to raise the $6,000. But thank you for your kindness, Chalker. Chalker, by the way, Steph. Chalker, I think he either is going to make or already has made the poetry phone. Like, he emailed the people and got the blueprints or something like that.
What?
The poetry phone. You take a picture of something and then it prints a poem.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I look forward to.
I thought you said poetry foam, so I was like,
Yeah, the
I
poetry
don't know what that
foam.
is, but
On my list of commonly
sounds amazing.
mispronounced words.
yeah. Yes.
See, if we had grammar, even though you missed part of the sentence, you could have still understood what I was saying. If only we had used grammar on this noisy communication channel.
Said we're using lossy communication.
Yeah. I read a book recently, Defeating Dementia.
Why?
Primarily because it's free.
Oh, gotcha. Yep.
Secondarily, because there's dementia risk in my family, I guess.
Right.
Um,
I was thinking of it as like more of a cultural thing, like we can all band together to defeat dementia, and I didn't think of you as like a joiner. I wasn't thinking of it as like you can defeat your own or a loved one's dementia. So I just
Yeah.
I was like, what?
yeah, but I mean, primarily
Since when
because the
has
book
that
was
become
free.
your pet issue? Right, free, good.
Yeah, and what I was
Was it
surprised-
excellent?
No,
given its free
I
status?
gave it 2 out of 5
Yeah.
stars.
Okay.
But what I was surprised about is like exercise, eating well, and maintaining an ideal weight, and so on, help prevent dementia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's this belief, which I assume is common because of typical mind fallacy, right? Like if the way my mind works is probably how most people's minds work on most matters, is that mental health and physical health, body health, are like desperate magistrates, right? And
What?
like Stephen Hawking say, or nerds versus jocks in high school.
Desperate
Magistrates,
magistrate?
realms of I actually don't know what the word. I have
Is that
to
what you
find
said?
the word. Magistrates.
Like a judge?
Yeah, I guess so. That's not
They're like really upset judges? Separate
systems of
ma-
government
ma-
and laws.
I've never heard that phrase. Is that a phrase?
Yeah, I think so. Is this it?
I've never heard of it.
Magisteria? Oh, this is very specific. Well, maybe it's not specific. I said this is specific to paleontology, but maybe it's not. Like science and religion are 2 separate magistrates. Is the, I think, the prototypical example.
Oh, now you're saying the word separate.
Yeah, sorry, what did you think I was saying earlier?
Desperate.
Sorry, so yeah, I meant separate
Separate.
magistrates.
Oh, okay. All right. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and then
You
you're
thought
using the same
that-
example here, religion versus science.
Okay. You thought that physical health and physical brain health were entirely separate.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
With like, because you observe like the cliques of jocks versus nerds in school, right? Like you can be,
You observe the clicks. Correct.
yeah, you can be good at brain stuff and you can be good at body stuff. And they're completely uncorrelated, as can be seen by these cliques that form.
Fascinating.
Then I read the book and I'm like, they're like, well, actually, if your body health is poor, like in the sense of like lack of exercise, bad diet, then probably your arteries are clogged, which
Right.
reduces the nutrients and oxygen being delivered to your brain via your blood cells, which causes your
Right.
brain cells to die.
How did you
And
think dementia formed?
I guess you get old.
Why
and
do
then,
old
and then,
people get it?
Yeah, you're old and genetic predisposition, and then brain cells just randomly die for no reason.
Oh. Okay.
But then I read the book and it says, no. So your arteries, your blood cells carry nutrients and oxygen, but your arteries get clogged, so they can't do a good job of bringing the nutrients and the oxygen to your brain cells, so your brain cells die. And maybe beta amyloids are involved, question mark, but we're not sure.
Right. What? So if you thought they were separate, why were you reading a book titled Defeating Dementia?
Because I want to defeat dementia. And also because it was
What
free.
kind of things did you think it would include? Because it was free. What kind of things did you include, if not physical things?
Well, like if they might say, let's say they said the trick for defeating dementia is to play a lot of video games. Okay? If they said something like that, I'd be like, okay, so I better start playing video games. I better play a lot of video games. Instead,
And by what process would you think that would work?
I don't know.
If
That's
not
why
a
I'm reading the
physical
book.
one. Okay, cool.
So then but instead, so the book says like, you gotta eat well and you gotta exercise. And then I'm like, oh
Yeah.
shit, I better eat well and exercise.
Great. Those would be good things for your brain health and general health.
Yeah, I like because there's a sentence like,
I love this plan.
Physical health. I abandoned that boat a long time ago, but at least I still have my
see.
brain health, right? That's where I'm specializing.
Right, which is not at all physical,
Right, exactly.
except for the part where it is. But okay, cool. Well, I'm glad that you have been reinformed.
And so again, typical brain fallacy maybe, but like I thought this was a widespread belief from the ones that I held.
I think I may have, it's literally never occurred to me that someone could think that. So I think, again, this is curse of knowledge kind of thing, that
Yeah.
it's hard for me to even imagine that someone thinks that, but clearly someone does.
Yeah. And I think like also a long time ago, I read like dental health also affects your brain health, mental health.
It does.
Because like things can get into your gum that get into your blood that then get into your brain or something like that.
Correct.
So this
Is that why you went to the orthodontist?
No, but this is like
Okay.
alarming, right? Like, why didn't anyone tell me? I don't care about my teeth, but I care about my brain.
I feel like all of health class was trying to tell you.
Did I ever take a health
In
class?
school.
I'm trying to remember what my health class was like. I think a lot of it was like
I feel like
don't
all
have
of science journalism is like,
sex
make sure
while
you do
you're a
the
teenager.
Mediterranean diet.
Yeah, but like they didn't say because of your brain. And they're like because
I feel like it does.
they'll say like because of your heart or something like that. It's like who needs a heart?
Right. You know what else? You said dental health, but also having teeth helps your jaw muscles.
Okay.
Because you're chewing. You
Which I
can chew
don't really
things.
care about.
And
but
your
go
jaw
on.
muscles. Right? Exactly. But when you chew, you bring more oxygen to your brain.
What?
Yeah.
See with like
So in Japan, one of the ways they measure your brain health is they ask you to bite an apple and they measure
oh
your
God, more Apple
jaw health.
IQ tests.
I know.
Apple-based IQ
Yeah,
tests.
more Apple IQ tests. Yep. The world goes crazy for them.
There's like I think
But you can
there's
solve
this
it horizontally or vertically.
perception or belief that let's say I lose all my teeth, like science has quote unquote solved that you can get dentures, right? Like it's fine.
Right.
But like they
Yep.
haven't solved
Turns
losing your
out.
brain. Yeah, so that's why I'm like, okay,
Right.
I gotta protect my brain. I don't have to worry too much about my teeth. But
Right. Well, part of the problem is like people didn't live long enough without one for us to know what the impact was on the other.
Right.
Right? Before they had solved the you can still eat without teeth problem, dementia wasn't as big of a concern.
Right.
Right? We didn't really know what happened to your brain because you were dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, we're discovering all kinds of dismaying things.
And the exercise thing is also like, you know, oh, I can't lift heavy things. Well, I can always hire people to lift heavy things for me, right? Like there's this idea that like I didn't have to worry so much about that. Like there were solutions.
I mean, I disagree with the premise. There was this idea but I hear that you had that idea.
Okay, well, let me put it different. How do you explain people being so blasé about everything, but not about like, oh, by the way, your brain can die, you know, like there has to be a dissociation then, right? Like between like I should brush more or else I get brain deaf, or I should exercise or else I get brain deaf or whatever.
So we're not very good humans at thinking about delayed consequences of things. Like our brains just don't do it very well. Like when you were saying we don't floss because of laziness, it is because of laziness, but it's also because we're always lazy about things where we can't see immediate consequences, because our main goal in life is, as organisms, is to conserve energy or resources or things like that. And so you don't waste energy or resources on things that don't immediately affect your survival. Like you were more likely to live if you conserved those resources. And evolution doesn't care about what you do after childbearing age. It doesn't have a mechanism for weeding that in or out. It's like, if you didn't waste resources while you were of childbearing age, you had more offspring. So evolution saved that. Evolution did not save the ability to think about long-term consequences or brain health as an elderly person. Evolution doesn't care if we grow old. With the caveat that I'm doing the thing that all evolutionary people warn against about saying evolution cares or doesn't care about things.
Yeah. It was surprising to me how everything is correlated health-wise.
Sure. Yeah. I can't imagine not thinking that. So it's hard for me to relate to the surprise, but I think I'm kind of understanding what that would be like to discover.
I get, because maybe I'm very biased towards exposure to technological devices, for example, where usually one component fails and you can replace it and then everything's fine, right? There isn't there isn't one thing broke. I guess because things are designed in a computer or a car or whatever, everything has one purpose, and then if that one thing breaks, you just replace that one part, and then I guess for an organism, instead of being designed in that sense, it's everything builds off of the adaptive presence of something else. The version 1 or the version N organism, looking at the version N-1 organism and seeing how can I evolve an improvement, would see well, what's available, what do I have around me that I can use, and then just build something off of that. And so everything is connected now, and so if anything breaks, then everything breaks.
Right. It's sometimes called the kludge theory of evolution, that the brain is all just kind of kludged together from previous components.
Yeah.
As opposed to created in the way that would be ideal from the beginning.
So why?
Yeah, it's a bit of a bummer.
So why did I give the book only 2 stars? If it radically
'Cause it
changed my
was-
life.
Self-published and so poorly written.
It was, yeah.
Maybe you have dementia. Is it
was-
because you have dementia now?
No. Well, not that I know of. How would, like, but,
That's what I'm saying. Maybe your 2-star rating was evidence that
yeah.
you're not grasping concepts as well.
Oh, never. So, like, if you walk, like, if you have bad arteries and you walk for a distance and your legs start hurting because there's not enough oxygen going to your blood, to your muscles, not enough oxygen going to your muscles, so you get like these leg burning sensations, or you run for a bit and you get these chest pains because I guess like arteries. So that's all signs apparently that your arteries aren't as good as they should be.
Right.
And if that's happening, there's a good chance that your brain also isn't getting as much stuff as it should be. Like
Yes.
but
There's
you don't
not just a good chance. Like, you get your oxygen the same way. Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Well,
what's
I mean,
happening.
in theory, you could have blockages at specific points, such that the brain path is unblocked, but the other paths are blocked, or something like that. But you know, with uniform prior knowledge or uniform probability based on like lack of knowledge, I guess, just assume your blockages are distributed like randomly. Then if you're seeing problems in your legs, and you also have problems in your brain.
Right.
But you don't feel like you feel burning in your legs, you feel burning in your chest, you don't feel burning in your brain. Your brain cells just silently die,
Correct.
and that's spooky.
Yeah. Because the brain doesn't have any pain receptors inside it.
Yeah, but that means every time my legs
Yeah.
were hurting, I'm like, oh shit, I was going through brain damage.
I mean, when your cardiovascular health is not good, your heart supplies blood and oxygen to every part of your body. Your brain is part of your body.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to see like how much brain damage have I received so far in my life, and then like so now I'm going back through my memories and thinking of every time my legs hurt.
Luckily, one of the things that the brain does do fairly well is have a lot of redundancy. So, for example, every time someone drinks alcohol, they're, kind of causing some cell death, things like that. So the brain can actually sustain a surprising amount of damage. And that's why we don't get dementia until we're old, is that we've kind of surpassed that threshold. And then, something may happen, like a specific stroke or something like that causes focal damage. But a lot of the reason that we get dementia when we're old is that we've done so much cumulative damage. But each individual moment of damage is not, and you can recover from individual damage, which is why, like, it's never too late to start. Well, it's not never too late, but go ahead and start eating healthy and exercising now.
Yeah, this is terrible news. This whole time I've been going through brain damage, and nobody told me.
Yes. I feel like everyone told you, but yeah, all right.
Nobody told me. Like I said, like I don't think my health classes were like arteries of brain or whatever. I feel like if someone said that, I would have noticed. My health classes were like, you're a teenager, so don't have sex.
Other people go to the doctor sometimes.
Yeah, and I went to the doctor too, and he didn't say, by the way, you're gonna get brain damage. He's like,
Did you ever read the New York Times science section? Have you ever stood in a grocery store checkout and they're like, don't forget to eat healthy to stave off dementia?
Nope. Don't recall ever seeing that before.
It never came up on any Reddit thread or...
No, dementia isn't a topic I encounter commonly. It might be, I don't know if you're because you're a neurologist, maybe you're exposed to a certain bubble of information, or the distribution of information you're exposed to differs from mine. Like how I'm always saying, oh, I read this in AI, and then you haven't been, you haven't read that because of the different distribution that I get exposed to.
Well, I'm a pediatric neuropsychologist, so I know jack all about dementia, but I do read some health stuff, I guess, for my own health sometimes.
Yeah, I don't really do that.
But also, like, it's literally everywhere.
Only to you. You know, it's literally everywhere to me.
Mount Rushmore? Question mark?
And the Grand Canyon.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it's like AI stuff, software development stuff, video game stuff. That's what my Reddit front
There
page
really
looks
aren't
like.
even some video games about this?
There probably has been
Like, you see...
a video game about dementia, but maybe it's more about brain cancer. I can't even recall now.
Okay. Well, congratulations on your newfound knowledge.
Realistic trauma is a relatively niche topic in video games. I feel like it's a lot more power fantasy is the more prevalent thing in video games.
Sure.
So like killing gods, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and like apocalypse. If
Yeah.
there is like a trauma. Yeah. I just assumed there were some games where people maybe lose their memory.
There are, but it's not like it's like the narrative cliche, not like the medical trauma. You know, like you wake
Gotcha.
up and you don't know who you are or what's going on, and then so
Gotcha.
that to
The
give
people writing these are too young.
to give you an excuse for to have NPCs explain things to you, you know, like how the world works.
Gotcha.
That there are 7 gods and, you know, one god of fire, god of water, whatever. Like everybody in the world knows this, so why don't you know this? Because you've lost your memory.
Right. Right. It's a helpful device. I get it.
Yeah. But it's fine. Nobody's concerned that you've lost your memory. It's not like you need to go to the doctor or anything like that. It's like, you know, you'll just wing it and then it'll be fine.
Great.
Do you know the? I'm moving on to a different topic now. You know the website Stack Overflow?
Mm-hmm.
It's a question and answering website.
Yes.
People post. I think it's
Questions?
programming oriented kind of, but there are like
Yeah.
a Stack Overflow networks for other topics, like psychology or whatever. But
Right.
so people post questions like, how do I write a good sorting algorithm or something like that? And then people will post answers, and then you vote on the answers you like, and then the person that asked the question marks an answer as accepted for the one that they like the most, I guess. For, I guess in the last 3 years, the administrators of the website disallowed AI generated answers. If someone asks a question, you can't just paste the question into ChatGPT, copy the answer, paste it, and farm karma or points that way. The moderators use AI detection tools, and then they would delete your answer if they detected it was AI generated.
Okay.
Recently, by which I mean, it looks like the article was published yesterday, Stack Overflow did a partnership with OpenAI. They're going to sell all the answers and questions as training data to OpenAI.
Oh God. Okay.
And some of the users were angry about that. They didn't, you know,
Sure.
they're like, I don't want my answers to be used for training data. Which, you and I said, we've talked about this a bunch in the past, I think.
We did, yeah.
And my viewpoint is sort of a nihilistic one, I guess. Like it's,
Right.
you've, by posting the information out in the public, you've basically relinquished all rights to it. Like not in a legal sense, but in a pragmatic sense. Like it's out there and it's too late to get it back. Your knowledge that you've shared. But people are upset about it. So what some users have done is they went into their profile, and you can't you cannot delete an answer if it's been marked as accepted by the question asker. So they initially wanted to just delete all their posts, right? To delete the data, but if their answer was accepted, they can't. So what they did is they would edit the answer to say like, I protest the OpenAI partnership or whatever, right? They edit the text of the answer.
Interesting.
But then Stack Overflow says you can't do that. That's against, you're violating our policy terms of service or whatever. So then they ban the users and then they revert the answer back to the original text.
Wow.
And I guess by ban meaning you can't log into your account anymore, meaning you can't go in and start editing all your old answers.
Wow.
So, legal question aside, this is like a huge PR mistake. I feel like everyone's gonna hate Stack Overflow after this when like. All their core users, like these are the users that provide the most.
These are their
value to
most
them.
engaged people. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And it's a big fuck you to them, basically.
Well, this is one of the arguments that I made when we were talking about the idea that people should have the right to consent. Is that because people don't want their contributions to be used in this way, or they want some kind of reward, some sort of credit, some sort of acknowledgement, that there will be very little incentive for anyone to write anything in the future ever, or create anything, because it can just be used in this way. And then we'll just have an internet that's basically just AI talking to itself.
Yeah.
And when AI talks to itself, if you've ever read one of those AI generated, I mean, they're spam everywhere now. Like, it's not very interesting. Nobody's gonna read it.
Yeah, I mean,
It's I don't know. It's a fascinating problem.
I feel like we like even before AI, we've already sort of hit that problem. Among human generated content, I feel like it's harder and harder to find good content. Somehow, when there was fewer people on, I guess maybe when back in time when there was fewer people on the internet, there was a selection effect, right? Where it's like it would be like educated people, rich people, I guess, to a certain degree, who would have the internet. And I guess passionate people as well, who would write blogs with no expectation of making money out of it. It's just, they had something interesting to say that they want to get out into the world.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's this monetization scheme. Like you could put a Google AdSense banner or something on your blog post, and then people were like, "Oh, I can make money out of this. Time to like lowest effort farm content, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And this all predates AI.
Yes. It does, but this will massively accelerate these problems.
Yes.
With no, I can't see how it could be decelerated.
Yeah.
Like now it's harder to find good content, but there is some. There is a bit of the Steve Bannon zone flooded with shit kind of theory. Excuse the language, that's the actual technical term. But like it seems like there won't be anybody producing any. Yeah, it's hard to know what that will look like when it's just AI talking to itself.
I feel like your will
Like
still
Stack
be...
Overflow will literally be itself asking itself questions and giving itself crappy answers and then marking them as
I don't
good
think
or bad.
I don't think that's what happened, because I don't see the motivation for the company to do that. I think Stack Overflow I don't know if they're going to pivot to basically become a new front end to Open AI through ChatGPT. Like you type in a question in Stack Overflow, and rather than that becoming a post for people to post answers on, like it just answers it, using LLMs. Meaning it's like there's not a big difference.
But where will it get that information from?
From the LLM training data. Doesn't mean I'm not saying the answer is going to be correct or anything like that. I'm just saying this is one possible future I see for Stack Overflow.
Right, but eventually there will be questions for which there is no training data.
Sure.
What will it do then?
It will stochastically, do vector arithmetic to determine the next likely token and print that. Like there's. Like, are you asking because you don't know the answer, or are you asking for rhetorical purposes?
No, I'm asking because, like, what value will that be then if it's giving?
Yeah, I think it's extremely low value.
Answers that
because I think you can just go to ChatGPT at that point if you wanted that.
Let me try again. When nobody is writing anything anymore, and AI is then asked questions which it doesn't have any training data for because the world has changed so much, so it maybe doesn't know a word or something, or a concept, because and there's nobody writing in any way about that new concept because there's no value in writing on the internet anymore. What will happen at that point? Like an AI that was created in 1896 that could produce those questions on that quiz that we took,
right,
would not be a very useful AI.
Yeah.
And if there's no updating of the training data, because that's what I'm asking, and it's not rhetorical.
Okay, so if it's not rhetorical, I guess I'll start by saying I don't think the premise is likely. I think there will still be people writing, maybe not on Stack Overflow.
Why?
Because I think people have an urge to share knowledge that they're passionate about. Like for Scott Alexander, for example, I think he will keep writing even after AI.
Why? If his stuff is just going to be clipped and used in scraped in training data, why would he write?
I don't know what his motivation is.
Why wouldn't he move to some other model?
I don't know what his internal motivation is, but it's my guess based on his behavior, I guess. I would, if I were offered a bet to say is Scott Alexander still going to be posting in 2040, say, I would bet yes.
And you're just saying that just based on literal intuition.
Yes.
You don't know him or his motivation.
Correct.
You just think he will.
Yes.
Oh. Because
of intuition, I guess.
No reason.
Yeah, do you want to take on the bet?
Well, I can't. I mean, I don't have any way to argue that. Yeah.
How about $50?
Okay.
All right, $50, 2040 is what we said?
Yep.
So on January 1st, 2040 to December 31st, 2040, if we ever makes a post, more consequential than a tweet. If he tweets, that doesn't count, I guess. It has to be at least, 2 paragraphs or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Fair.
Okay. I'll try to remember to write it down somewhere.
Okay.
But
especially because we'll both have dementia by then.
Yeah.
So.
But I guess you
well,
don't.
I do a lot of sharing of information.
Yes.
And the especially to other neuropsychologists, mostly in specialized forums, but some online. And once it became when people start kind of stealing it and representing it as their own, or when it just starts appearing unattributed. I wasn't really writing for money or anything, but it's so disheartening and weird to see that happen that it was impossible for me to think of continuing to do it. And I have, maybe it's my own just world fallacy, but I have a really hard time imagining someone who seems to have such identity wrapped up in his ability to communicate and share information and explain things to people, that he would want to still put in the work while getting none of those benefits.
Well, I think, if I were in this position, I would imagine I would still have like at least a small community of dedicated fans, readers, right? Who would come to me like because they know that they like my writing style, or they know they have a trust in my level of knowledge, or as a source of information.
I don't think anybody will even bother reading the internet anymore. I don't think words written out will be something people read.
I think it will. Like, I think it's not like, even today, I feel like most people, like if you look at the number of people who read Substacks versus the number of people who watch TikToks, it's probably more TikTok people. But I think there are still readers on the internet. Like, you still have the New York Times or the Atlantic or whatever publishing stories on their websites.
Their readership is older and older, right?
Yeah, but I think non-zero.
Those of us who read the Atlantic are going to die. Probably by 2040.
There are new news publications being come up, which presumably means new readerships, and there's like the bathtub mortality graph shaped thing, so probably a lot of them are going to die off soon. But I guess I can't see it going to zero. I can see it going low, and like I think it is low, but I can't see readership going to zero and publication going to zero.
Yeah, I think that's a failure of imagination.
Could
right?
be.
Like, lots of people said, I can't imagine that people wouldn't still need to get their weather and classified ads and want ads and movie times from a newspaper. And we don't get any of those things from a newspaper, and nobody like that's all done. Like that data is all scraped now. Nobody is in the job of writing that information, because why would you?
Sure, but I feel like you're focusing on the medium there, right? You're saying nobody gets their weather from the newspaper, but people still get the weather. Like, and then
right, but nobody writes it anymore. Some human used to write it so that it could go into a newspaper.
I guess
nobody does that anymore.
Yeah, I guess I don't know if people read the weather for like the quality of the prose as opposed to just getting the pure information.
No, I'm not saying for quality of prose. I'm saying that job doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Putting the weather into the newspaper as a human job doesn't exist anymore.
I agree.
Nobody would do it. It's labor that. Okay, then if you agreed with what I was saying and understood it, you wouldn't have said anything about the quality of the prose. So I was clarifying.
Well, what I'm getting at is, but I think people do value, like, say, reading Scott Alexander's posts for the quality of the prose.
Once an AI can generate the quality of his, like, better than the quality of his prose, using his own training data, nobody will read his stuff.
Yeah, and I was just about
also,
to get to that, and that's like the utopian ideal, I feel like.
How is that the utopian ideal?
Because now everybody can get quality writing for free.
Everybody gets quality writing for free now.
I
it's
have
not
to spend
exactly
a
a
lot of
utopia.
effort to get quality writing. If
You could go to a library.
I am quote unquote going to a library, and I'm getting books like Defeating Dementia, which is like 2 stars out of 5. Or what was the other book? I can't remember.
That was not. You knew that was not quality writing.
I didn't know
But
before
you
reading it. Sorry.
You knew because it was self-published.
I don't know that it's self-published.
Oh, okay. Why was it free?
Because it's from a library.
Oh, okay. But you got Parable of the Sower.
Yeah. So
quality rating.
We're looking at of the things I said out loud, we're looking at 50% success rate, right? Which is already below what I'm looking for. But I sent you some other things, like the 7 stories of physics or something. I forget the name of the book, which I also gave 2 out of 5 stars.
7.5 lessons about physics or whatever.
Yeah. And so more generally, like most of the stuff I'm getting from libraries are like meh. They're not as good as Scott Alexander say.
Okay. But there will be so much stuff that people can get for free that is better than what Scott Alexander writes, or worse, or whatever.
Well, I think I lost Steph because her icon disappeared from the call. I guess we got disconnected or something like that. Oh, I think Steph might be back.
My laptop turned itself off. It would like to be plugged in. Are you there?
Yes.
Yeah. And then there will be nobody to write about new stuff. Or to write in new ways.
Yeah, I guess I'm seeing a what's it called? Some sort of feedback system. Like that leads to some sort of equilibrium. Like, if AI produces really good writing, people will want to read the AI stuff. To the point where AI no longer produces really good writing, or like the humans can do better than humans will start writing again.
Why? How does that follow?
Because there's a demand for it.
Say it again. What did you? Because it sounded like that directly contradicts. So say it again so I can try.
AI will either be capable of generating better content than humans, or it won't.
Okay.
If it does, then people will want to read the AI stuff. And if it can't, then people will want to read the human stuff.
And
I don't think it sounds like you think there's going to be a lock-in effect. Like once AI becomes better than humans, everyone's going to read AI stuff, but then over time it won't be as good as what humans could have produced. But then humans, for some reason, won't come back into writing, even though they could do better than the AI.
Correct. I'm looking at the entire history of technology, and based on all of that, that would be my argument. Correct. So, for example, we talked last time or the time before about the Industrial Revolution in England, where machines could produce something just as good as humans, and it did, and it supplanted humans, and then it started producing crap, right? We now have a wide variety of clothing, all of which is made worse than humans could have done, and there's just a huge flood of it, a huge glut, and now humans actually could weave better cloth than what computers are doing, but we've all gotten so used to a huge amount of cheap garbage that we will never go back, and nobody weaves anymore. Scott Alexander is not weaving anything. There'd be no recognition, no value. If he did actually manage to make something of value, a machine would just clone it and somehow figure out how to make it cheaper. So why would anyone do it?
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're describing is possible, like plausible, but I think what I'm describing is also plausible. It's one of those like hard to predict
Give
things.
me a single example from history.
I'm not very good at history, so that's gonna be tough for me.
Okay. Explain it while referring to Eli Whitney or Samuel Morse.
Let me just, there's an assumption I'm making here, and I want to double check.
History of Kansas.
I want to double check. That Morse guy, he's the guy who invented Morse? Is that right? Or
Morse code?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Good.
That's
Excellent.
what I was assuming, but who knows, right?
Fantastic. Right. You can ask AI. It will know.
Yeah, there's a couple. It's like there's a lot of what's the word? Equivocation of terminology going on in the realm of AI. Because all we have like today really is LLMs, which it's unclear that they can reason about novel topics.
Right.
There's like tantalizing evidence that they can, but from first principles, it seems like they shouldn't be able to. They should only be predicting next tokens based on how humans have historically spoke or wrote about.
Right.
But then you see them like playing chess, for example, which seems like it would require reasoning and not just stochastic parroting back of what other people have said when given a chess puzzle, you know. But so the utopian ideal thing is, I guess, somewhat predicated on the idea that we have like truly reasoning AI, like that could come up with novel concepts, you know, new ideas.
Not the utopian ideal, your utopian
My
ideal.
utopian
But,
ideal.
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what you're saying, like the thing you're describing, I think is that we don't have that AI. We're stuck with LLMs, so that if no new writing occurs, no new ideas occur. Like the LLMs.
I can spin apocalyptic scenarios from either version. I was literally just asking you what you think is going to happen once, like if all we have is LLMs, what would happen if humans stopped contributing? Because I'm just curious.
Yeah.
But I can give the apocalyptic version of either. Let's say we get wonderfully reasoning AI that can generate novel thinking about what it like. I mean, at that point, it would be actual AI, right? It would observe the world somehow and then reason about it in an intelligent way, presumably unsupervised.
Yeah.
At that point, we've created artificial life, right?
Yes. Well.
Yeah.
I guess, you know, people debate on the definition of life, but sure.
Sure.
And to me, that's utopian. Like free Scott Alexander content.
Why? This is not really, like, I'm kind of going off in a different tangent here, but it just came to my mind as a immediate question, so I'm going to blurt it out. Why do you think the AIs would keep it free?
Yeah, there's a chance it won't. I'm hoping that there's going to be competition that drives the price as close to zero as possible, and possibly even open source AIs in that sense being available so that anyone can run it.
Okay. Do you worry about the information obesity problem?
I don't even know what that is, so no, I don't worry about that.
I just invented it. So you have free Scott Alexander or better content. Huge gluts of it.
Yeah.
Huge amounts.
Yes.
Everything you read is that level of content.
Yeah.
Nobody has read the same thing as you.
Yeah.
Because there's so much of it that nobody could.
It was written for me.
Right. And you're just in a prison of your own satiation.
Yeah.
Golden
you
handcuffs?
You could label it heaven instead of prison and you would get the same results, but yes.
Okay. Does that feel
utopian?
Do you see any problem? Yeah, does that feel utopian?
Yes.
How would you do anything? How would you floss so that you could maintain your brain health?
I guess the same way that I floss now.
So you wouldn't.
I would irregularly.
But how could you even bring yourself to stop? Every new thing, all the time.
Yeah, it's already tough. I'm reading way more than I feel like I should these days. I'm like addicted, I guess you could say. I'm like reading
and like
these.
Everyone's doing that.
I'm reading these, defeating dimension books, which aren't even really that good, and in hopes of finding the good content. It's the.
But now the content would be so good that.
Yeah, but maybe
would you get bored? Would you?
Maybe it's the Skinner box effect, right? Maybe it's the fact that it's so hard to find good content that makes me keep looking. And if I could rely on like every time you always get good content, then maybe I would slow down.
You'd get really bored, or you'd get informationally obese, and you would do nothing else. You would not have children. You would not contribute to society. You would not share ideas. You would not create. We would die off as humans, correct?
Possibly.
Good. Excellent. On that note, I'm exhausted.
We can't end it on that. Come on.
I think we have to. I have thought experiments for you for next time.
Okay, but like what I'm getting at, like there's this weird like questions about me specifically and questions about humans in general, right? Where the answers might not always be the same. I don't think I'm gonna have kids.
Your utopia. That's why I've been saying.
No,
like,
but I mean, like when you say like you're not gonna have kids, I don't think I'm gonna have kids anyway. Like things like there's issues like that.
It's sure. In that case, I was actually referring to each individual having content produced literally personally tailored to bring them maximum joy.
This is called wireheading in my social circles.
Wall-E kind of thing. Wirehead.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Stick wires in your head to directly the idea is you want to if you think of yourself as an agent that's maximizing the reward function.
Right.
You just like here's the solution. This is how you maximize your reward function. Then
Right.
And it's like it's like a utilitarian counter argument type of thing.
Right.
And there's not a great solution to it. I guess like it's a philosophical paradox, a challenge where it's like like yes, utilitarian maybe leads to that, and that's on instinct sounds like not the outcome you want. But is it really not the outcome you want? It's unclear. If everybody is literally happy all the time, like, haven't you won as a utilitarian at that point?
I mean, well, that's an interesting question that we can discuss next time.
Yeah. All right. Let me get the ending screen.
It's not entirely clear what winning is from a utilitarian perspective, because do you mean greatest happiness for the most individuals? Do you mean greatest average happiness, right? Anyway,
Yeah, but
we
I
can
think
discuss that next
I'm
time.
not sure that those questions lead to a different answer. So let's create like brains in
Stop
jars.
it! I want to stop talking.
Yeah, I'm playing the music.
I'm on the
Imagine,
good.
imagine you create brains in jars that are just all they do is experience happiness, right? Like, so this is a different thought experiment called orgasmium. Like, you just
Yeah.
tile the universe with matter, like brain matter, that just experiences happiness all the time.
Yes.
And
I know.
You
I have
want
to-
utilitarianism at that point.
Talking. I can't keep talking anymore. I'm so
It's playing
tired.
music. It's the ending screen. You don't
Please
hear. I
let
don't know
me
if you,
go.
oh, you don't hear it. That's right. Here we go.
I don't hear it. I just am hearing
Here's the
you
music.
talking,
We're
and I
ending the
can't
stream.
speak any more words.
Thank you everyone for
Okay.
watching. Top corner of the screen every Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Pacific. 2.5 hours ago in your time zone is the Steph's Thursday stream, where we play. No, we don't play games
Nothing.
anymore. We don't play hidden object games. We just chat. That's all we do.
All I want to do is play hidden object games, but no, it's so many words.
Then
Alright.
every Saturday, 6 p.m. Pacific, that's about 4 hours ago in your time zone, we have the Solo Saturday stream where we play a random game from my review queue. We got the Discord. Join the Discord for updates to schedule and any announcements for off-schedule streams. I think the next stream is Tuesday. We're going to be playing Content Warning, I believe, with Rico, Pico, and Oyami. So look forward to that. And yeah, I think that's it. So thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. I'll let you guys enjoy the rest of Cat Parade while I look for someone to raid.
Good night, everyone.